What's happening, everybody? My name is Christian, and this is part 2 of the Tennessee Nightingale solo tutorial. If you missed part 1, feel free to check out this link right here, which will take you to that video. Very similar to the first part, I'm going to talk about pretty much every note that I am playing and why I am choosing to play it, as well as all of the chord progressions going on. So the first part ended with this lick. And then the next part, the part we're going to talk about right now, started with what I played earlier, which was that sort of thing. So first, before we really start, we need to go over what the chord changes are. This section is pretty much a straight up 12-bar blues with some slight variations in the turnaround, which you'll see. But I'm just going to play the whole thing just so you can get an idea of what it is. Here we go. That's pretty much it. So it looks like I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm really not. This whole section, that's really just E7. I mean, I'm playing a lot of different chords, like I'm playing an E dominant, then like a D with E in the bass, or E sus 11, whatever you want to call it, E7, E sus, but mostly it's really just E dominant. I'm not really playing each and every single one of those chords in the lead. I'm really just thinking E dominant the whole time. Very similar thing for this too. Yes, those are two different chords, but they're really just versions of A dominant. So that's really it. This part is that little turnaround. That's our C sharp dominant, kind of C sharp, sharp 5. F sharp minor, B dominant with a sharp 5. E major, like major 7, major 9. Then a C, D, E. So you'll kind of, if you listen to the track, you'll see how long I'm holding it for, but it's pretty standard kind of lengths for everything as far as the 12-bar blues go. So that's really it, and now let's talk about all of the little leads and whatnot that kind of go throughout. So the first one is pretty much this. Okay, that's as far as I'll go with this one. All of that is over E7. So, which is why it kind of sounds very E major, E7-like, as everything is, I'm really thinking E dominant this whole time. So, it's pretty simple. As you can see, mostly just little double stops. That sort of sound. So I start with E, G sharp, then to D, F sharp, then I slide up to the same D and F sharp, and I go C sharp to E. Then I move to B and E, but do a real quick hammer on the C sharp on the G string. Then lift it up and play the B and E again. Play the A right there. And I do a little slide into the G sharp. So that whole thing. Right? So I just wanted little melodies. Really, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Little melodies kind of walking down, which eventually lead me to this G sharp. So after I play the G sharp, I slide up into it with my ring finger. Then I move up to the B, the D on the G string, and then I play the open high E string. So you kind of get this ringing sound out of it. Right? You could also do it like that if you got bigger fingers, or if you slide with your pinky instead. That's kind of cool too. So you've got some options. Okay, I like kind of the open E string. The high E string sounds very resonant and sounds nice. So that's all E dominant, and this still is E dominant. After we play the chord, I do this. Okay, so all of that is little E, walk up to the third, root second third of E, so E, F sharp, G sharp, little bend up to A, come back to E. Okay, after I hit the E again, go up to the G sharp and walk down kind of an E dominant pentatonic sort of thing. Okay, very similar to the ending lick of part 1 actually. So E, G sharp, F sharp, E, D, B. Okay, so after that, I just walk walk down like this. So this is just C sharp D, B C sharp, B A G sharp, G natural. So that's kind of a very common sort of bluegrassy figure. That sort of thing. It's really easy to do if you use your fingers, if you're using a finger. So I'm doing like finger, hammer and pull off, pick on the D string, and then finger again. And walking down. So it's kind of an easy thing to do with if you're using your fingers in the right hand. So, and at this point when I hit this G, now I'm on the A7, which I'm now kind of implying a different sort of harmony over the A7 as opposed to what I was doing over the E7. So now as we continue over the A chord, you'll notice that the sounds that I'm playing are very reminiscent of E minor. Okay, so this lick, right when I do this, so that's the lick we just got off. Now I'm here, and I'm going to do this passage, which is very E minor sounding. A real quick tip, and I can elaborate in the future if you'd like, but a real quick tip is if you are ever playing a dominant chord like A7, and you want something to play over this, you can always go to its fifth, which is E in this case, and play that minor. So for example, let's pick a new key. If I'm in the key of C, or if I'm playing over a C dominant chord, and I want to play over this, but I want more of a minor flavor, you go to its fifth, which is G, and play G minor while this chord is going on. Okay, so that's a very easy little trick that a lot of people use, and it sounds pretty cool because you can still use all your minor licks, but you're actually playing a dominant chord. And that's exactly what I'm doing right here. So the chord is A7, and I do this passage. Okay, so this is actually very similar to what I did in part 1, where I'm playing G major 7, little figure. So you can think about it as G major 7 if you want. You can think root, 3rd, 5th, 7th of G, or, which is sort of what I'm thinking about it as E minor, so 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th of E minor. It doesn't really matter, it's all the same thing. Whatever you want to do, whatever makes the most sense to you. So anyway, I'm doing that passage. Then I play the E right there, and walk up the pentatonic. So E, G, E, G, A. Then once I get here, do this little unison bend. Come back to the G. Okay. After that, I do this little. I almost never do it right, but when I do it right, it sounds cool. I'm just coming down, just like a little rake sweep, if you want to call it, down F sharp, D, A to G. Then I do a little E, D, E, up an octave E, trying to get the pinched harmonic. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. So anyway, there we go. So that whole thing. Okay, so at this point, the second you hit this pinched harmonic, now we're on E7. So we are not on A anymore. We're now on E7, which is why the next thing that I play is back to just pretty much E dominant. I'm walking down straight up an E dominant scale. So there's the E, D, C sharp, B, A, G sharp, F sharp, E. That's it, very straightforward. But immediately after that, slide up to F natural right there, or E sharp if you want to think about it, because now I'm on the C sharp dominant right there. Okay, so now I have a little fluffy friend over here who wanted to figure out what I was doing over the C sharp dominant, which is the next section. So I just finished up leaving the E dominant, and I did that little slide up into the F or E sharp, which takes me to the C sharp dominant figure. What this is pretty much a straight up C sharp dominant 7th with a couple extra little additions. So that's what a normal C sharp dominant 7th shape looks like, just root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, root, 3rd. I'm just adding this. So here's my 3rd. I start on the 3rd. Root, I add a flat 9 in there. 3rd, 5th, 7th, flat 9. Then this little passing tone into the C sharp, into the root. So that's actually chromatic enclosure again. We talked about that in part 1. Right? I think we talked about that earlier in the same video too. It's a Great way just to kill time before you need to hit a note on the downbeat, which is what's happening right there. After I do that, now I go straight up the arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 1, 7. It then takes us to the third of the next chord. Okay, so. And that's that whole passage. After I hit this third, now I'm on F sharp minor, and I do this. Okay, so this little chromatic kind of pull off thing is going from root to the fifth of the chord, down the arpeggio, little chromatic walk down to this note. So that's down the arpeggio, so fifth, third, root, 7, fifth, chromatic little note to the B. Why would I play the B? Because now I'm on a B7 right there. After I hit the B, jump up an octave, and I do pretty much the same lick, but now over B dominant, so slightly a little different, but same idea. That's still that chromatic pull-off thing from the root to the fifth of the B chord. Walk down the arpeggio, but I'm not walking down straight up just 5, 3, 1. I'm walking 5, 3, flat 9, then 1, then flat 7. So then I do another chromatic enclosure. Okay, which takes me to this G sharp, which is the third of the E chord that I'm playing at that time. Okay, it doesn't really look like the same chromatic enclosure, so before I was doing it, it's very easy to see that. Right, here's my target note, ahead of it, behind it, target note. It's very easy to see that, but this is actually the same thing. That's the same thing, I'm just placing this note, instead of playing it right here, and doing that, I'm just doing this. The same notes, but just a different fingering, because I wanted to stay right here for this next lick, which is kind of hard to play. I want to just keep it comfortable, keep it right in this position. So, anyway, that's that part. These two parts. That's it. Now brings us to the kind of the last final stretch of this solo, or of this section. Definitely the hardest part of this section today. So after I hit the G sharp, this is the figure. So you can see it's definitely a pattern. I play a note, go back a half step, back up to the note, up the arpeggio, and then back down. And then do the same thing off of the root. And then I eventually hit the C, which is when the C chord happens. So once again, pretty slowly, that's third, a little flat 3 if you want to call it that, or G sharp, G natural, G sharp, fifth, root, fifth, third, second, root. And then you do that all over again. So that's root, leading tone, root, third, fifth. Okay? I'm doing a lot of sliding here too. I really just pick it once, pull off, slide, hammer on, and use my finger to hit that note up top, my middle finger. Then pull off, and then another pull off. Do the same thing here. Okay? Now, originally I wanted to do this. But that fingering just wasn't working out. And I kind of messed around doing this. Because that's the same thing. Same exact lick right there, but I didn't like the phrase. If you listen to this phrase, it sounds like ba-da-da-da-da. But this phrase sounds ba-da-da-da-da. I didn't really like that. I liked the consistent ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I like that consistent phrase, so I decided to do it like this, to stick like that, because I realized I could play, instead of this, I can play the open A, and it worked out perfectly. And that's what I'm doing right there. I'm actually pulling off, or trying to. I can almost never do it right, but I'm pulling off to the A. Okay? After the A, little walk up, A, B, C natural, and that takes us to the C chord at that point. So let me just play that one more time. Okay, now we're on the C chord. What am I doing here? Very common arpeggio shape that a lot of jazz players and whatnot will use. It's really just C, E, A, B, C, E, G, B. So if you want to look at that as from the perspective of C, it looks like root, 3rd, 6th, 7th, root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. So I kind of liked having the A in there. Kind of gives a little bit of a minor flair, even though the chord is C major. Almost kind of implying A minor here briefly. So, by the way, this is a very common lick for people to do with economy picking. So that would be like this. You can kind of see my right hand. I'm really not that good at it, and I honestly don't really like going down with economy picking. I'm just not that great at it. I would rather use my fingers, which is what I'm doing. So I do pick, finger, fingers, hammer on, slide, finger, finger, hammer on. I like that a lot better. I think it sounds kind of smooth. Okay, so that's that lick. And that's all over the C chord. Okay. Then I come down for the next chord's D, and I come down a D major triad. Just 5, 3, 1, up 2 frets, and do the same thing but an E major triad. 1, 3, 5. Then I hit the C sharp right here, the D, then a full set bend. And that takes me to this kind of country style lick where I'm bending up to the root and grabbing the 3rd up top. So that D chord coming down the triad, up to the E triad. And all of this is over the D chord. You might be wondering, why am I playing an E triad over a D chord? Well, first of all, it sounds kind of cool. You get that kind of sound, which is pretty nice. But I'm also not implying, I am foreshadowing the next chord, which is E, when I'm playing this. So it kind of just sets me up for it. So anyway, that last passage. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to try to play the whole thing right now slow so you can just recap everything. So here we go. It's very common that when I'm doing this, I pull the string off the neck. It happens all the time. But anyway, that's that passage. It's pretty straightforward, kind of like the first part where I'm just following chord tones, following all the changes and all that stuff. So let me know if you have any questions, any comments, just leave in the comment section. If there's something that bugs you about this video, about the way I'm doing it, please let me know and I'll make some changes for the future. But if not, I will see you next time for part 3. Take care.